see. Hello? There's always a little delay with YouTube. There we go. Okay. Okay, looks like Doug is here. Traveling Wolf is here. Let me scroll down a little bit. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me and see me? And are we good? Hey, Cecilia's here. Lauren is here. People are slowly trickling in. I'm actually on time for once. So, yay, yay for that. Overcoming Understanding is there. Hello. Yes. Lauren, hello. So, how is everyone doing? Doug is saying, oh, he had a blowout with his sister today, and there's no hope for them to accept that my niece is not nice. So, yeah, that's difficult, right? And then it's hard. It's hard for us to accept that they're not going to accept that. Um, I think it's just making peace with where people are and their understanding of things and just knowing when to throw up your hands and just walk away and just realize they're not going to get it and nothing that you say or do is going to matter and it's not going to change things and all you can do is just move yourself to a place of safety and sanity and just drive on. So, okay, people are talking about the video feed cutting out. There's a huge storm that's going on right now over here. So, that might be part of it. Um, let's see, BBR is here. JAP is here. So, L in end ADL is here, says hello, and says, oh, you look beautiful tonight. Well, thank you very much. Oh gosh, Overcoming Understanding says, I've had electrical issues in my house, so I thought it was me. Well, that's scary. I hope you get that resolved. That can be, obviously, that can be very dangerous. Oh, hello, Adrian. No, I think it's, I think it's my video stream is my guess. Just due to the storm. Lavender Curls is here. Marissa is here. She says, yay, my first time. I feel like I'm finally a part of the group. Yes, welcome. Welcome, welcome. And JAP says, hi from Gardena, California. I'm new to your channel. I just broke up with my girlfriend of 4 years. Oh, I'm sorry. How are you doing? I guess that might be kind of a dumb question, huh? Have you made your way to the support group at all? Yeah, and Fisher says, good evening, fellow thrivers. I love that. Oh, Doug is talking about his niece, and he says, I'm sending a large email to everyone to explain my side, but I don't think it'll help and it will just hurt people. Yeah, so it's, you know, it just goes back to people are only able to absorb information kind of based on their level of understanding, or maybe not even their level of understanding, their level of acceptance or denial. So if they still have this view of your niece, then as being a nice person, then they're not going to see things your way, and that can be really re-victimizing for you and really crazy making, and it might feel kind of like you're screaming into the wind, and I guess in effect you are, if they've already made it pretty clear through their actions that they're not able to accept your take on things. And so that just kind of goes with realizing, okay, they have a limited perspective. This has nothing to do with you. And even though it feels really personal, right? But to just realize, okay, this is where they're coming from and they don't get it. And everybody has their own understanding at their own time. And to just kind of accept that and drive on and surround yourself with people that do get it. So let's see. Let me scroll up here. Overcoming Understanding says Dana's chat is the after party from my Wednesday video. That's hilarious. Oh, did you really? She said, in tonight's video, I told everyone to come here afterwards. That's really hilarious. So it's kind of funny, like, the world and the internet seems like this giant place, but then you realize within this community, it's really kind of a small world. Like there's a lot of us that are in the same circles and the same support groups, and that know each other pretty well. It reminds me kind of. Have you guys ever seen the movie Best in Show? There's like just these like this whole bizarre world that people like don't even know exists, and all of this behind the scenes to this world that kind of reminds me of all of the different abuse and the support groups and all of the behind the scenes. Like people don't even have any clue as far as unless you've gone through it, they don't have any clue as far as like abuse and what people go through and all of this, and they for sure don't have any idea of what goes on in the support groups and just kind of all of the just all of the strange stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So, oh, Cecilia says, my ex dropped off old mail and an aloe plant 2 weeks ago. So random. That is random, but not for a narcissist. So, yeah, I don't know. I kind of view any attempt at them, I mean, like any attempt at them kind of reopening communication, like dropping off old mail in an aloe plant, as a potential Hoover. So just keeping your emotional guard up and just seeing it for what it is. And hopefully that will be kind of that. And you can move on with your healing and not get, not get distracted. So, or sucked back in. Let's see. Hot Potato is here. Yeah, Cecilia was saying it was so weird because our friend gave me the aloe plant a few months before he broke up with me. Yeah, right. Lavender Curl says aloe is for healing. Haha. Yeah, that is um, totally ironic, I guess. So everybody's saying the video feed is absolutely awful. So I'm messing around, trying to figure out what did I do. I hope I'm kind of hoping that it's just the storm and that there's not something that I have done. I knew this happened too easy tonight. Oh, that's awesome. Overcoming Understanding says, Dana, I've had this narc troll on my videos and everyone came to the rescue. So that's fantastic, right? Like just kind of reconfirms your faith in humanity and in people and what you're doing. And yeah, the trolls, the comments, they're hard. They're difficult. They're difficult. I find that the larger my channel grows, I have to, there are times where I have to force myself to read the comments, and it sucks. Like I get so frustrated. If I could record the battle that goes on in my head, you guys would really think that I'm nuts, because there could be 100 positive comments, and then you get that one that is just so unnecessarily mean. It's not even constructive criticism. It's just like freaking mean. It just knocks the wind out of you. I mean, it's really hard to deal with that. And I've gotten a lot better. I mean, comments like that when I first started my channel, they would just upset me. Like I would just like obsessively like just ruminate on them for days. And now I don't. But still, I mean, it bothers me for, you know, longer than it should. It not maybe not even an hour nowadays, but it's still like it's ouch, you know? Like why I don't know. So it's hard to let it go, but I'm really glad that people are coming to your rescue because that's super cool. Cecilia says, so what am I supposed to do with the male and the aloe? I'm just gonna leave it alone. Yeah, I wouldn't even do. I mean, obviously it's so random, right? Like, and of course he's gonna be on your mind and all that stuff. I would just leave it alone, pretend it didn't happen, and um, yeah. So, oh, everybody's having major issues with the feed, and I am so very sorry about that. I keep getting these little notifications in the bottom of my screen about the feed. Like that it's breaking up and that I'm losing screens, but it's saying a bunch of words like technology and I don't understand and I'm so sorry. I closed out all of my other windows and I don't know what I would have done differently. Let me just Oh, I'm scared to even mess with anything. Hold on a second. Let me just mess with Oh my god. Something network issues. Yeah, that is totally not helpful. Thank you for nothing. So, okay, we're just going to keep going and hopefully this will be the last time it does it. Dave Kohler is here. Hello, Dave. He says, Dana, your videos are so healing, but not everybody wants to heal. They are into creating hate. You rock, by the way. Well, thank you. Thank you. I I do what I can for sure, and I just love doing this. So, okay, Adrian is saying it's not you, it's the frequency and the weather. Milt says, "Oh, poor Aloe, caught in the middle of all this. Keep the love flowing. Don't let pain color your feelings, plants, or people." I love that. That needs to go on a meme. So, right? Hot Potato says, "We are all too used to smooth live streams. This is a throwback to the late 90s." Yes, yes, it is. So, um, yeah, okay, so Lavender Curl says, dump the plant, tear up the mail. Who needs the bad vibes? LOL. I am a huge fan of clearing out funky energy. So, yeah, if that plant reminds you of the relationship, just I would give it to a friend or kind of do what you can to just. And okay, she threw the letter away. That's good. Yeah, okay, so we're kind of joking about this, but in all seriousness, so Dawn mentions, I am the custodian of the Narc's aloe plant that I water weekly, and I think, is this another form of control? Well, I think it can be. I mean, that sounds like a really maybe kind of over the top thing to say, but doing things like that, like forcing a pet or making somebody responsible for something that they maybe don't want to be responsible for is definitely a sign. It's a form of control. But if it's something that you're not wanting to do, you can always just say, "Hey, I'm done." I actually was talking to a friend of mine who was having some relationship issues, and she was dating this younger man, and she was saying the other day that he, and I don't even know how their relationship got to this point, but he was bringing his laundry over to her house, and she was doing his laundry for him. And finally, she was like, "I'm done." She's like, "I have kids. Like, what am I doing? I don't want to. I don't need another child, and I don't want to be somebody's mother." And she just kind of. I'm sure it started off with her being like, "Well, I'm already doing laundry," and it's kind of that slippery slope into, "I don't mind. Come on, just throw your stuff in. It doesn't matter." And then it's kind of grown from there to where now it's like an expectation, and she was feeling resentful. And we were talking about, just setting boundaries. And even though it's maybe not a huge deal, but if it starts becoming a huge deal and it's laundry or it's a plant, that's kind of the sign to just say, "You know what, reel it in." And we can tell when a boundary's been crossed based on how we feel, right? So if we start feeling irritated or resentful or angry, the more intense the uncomfortable emotion is that we're feeling, the more intense the boundary violation is. So I think that's kind of a great way to kind of gauge where you are with something. And it might not be a big deal to other people, but if it's a big deal to you, I mean, we all have different boundaries, right? So if you're feeling resentful over something, then that's a sign for that things need to get back into alignment with you and your relationship with that person. That's a great question. Okay, so Nancy says, what advice would you give to someone who wants to stay with their clinically diagnosed narcissist? I'm not sure how to help the abused person in this situation. This is really tough because if a person wants to stay, then they are really heavy in that fog of cognitive dissonance. And they're not, so that, in meaning, what I mean by that is that they are heavy in denial, they're heavy in justification and minimization and blame. And when a person's deep in cognitive dissonance like that, they want things to work. And so it takes oftentimes a tremendous amount of pain for them to get out of that fog. And so if you're going to go about like critiquing or, criticizing her partner, she's going to get defensive. And what happens in that scenario when there is that fog of cognitive dissonance, the person ends up talking themselves into staying. Because let's say, for example, let's just say she were to come to you and say, "You know what? He has been lying again, nonstop, or cheating again," right? And you were to join on her side, and you were to say, "Oh, what a jerk, what a pig, I can't believe he's doing this." If she's not ready to leave, she might start getting defensive and be like, "Well, okay, but maybe I was working a lot, and maybe these other things were going on," and she's going to start justifying his behavior. And when she starts doing that, then very quickly it'll be kind of him and her against the world and against you. And so then that's how people end up talking themselves into staying. So what you can do in this situation, because she's not going to most likely listen to you, is to refer her to a support group. I think there's a lot of validation and clarity that comes from a support group because we're all telling different versions of the same story. And that becomes really crystal clear when a person gets into a support group, because we've all heard pretty much all of the same excuses, all of the same lies, all of the same stories. Our relationships have run the exact same course. There's lots and lots and lots of commonalities in there. And, even if she didn't want to do anything other than just read other people's stories, there's a lot of clarity that can come from that. So what I would encourage you to do, and I did a video called something along the lines of "How do I help a person in an abusive relationship?" But what you can do that would help would be to listen to her and then not take her side, as strange as that might sound. So So if she's telling you, I can't believe that this guy, he stole money from me again, right? To just, wow, that is really hurtful. What do you think about that? And just kind of like have just kind of put it back on her. And so if she's like, I'm really tempted to leave, like I can't handle it anymore, this time it's it. And then just say, you know what, I don't blame you. Like that's a lot of stuff that you've got going on. And if you were to ever, and maybe just kind of, the whole goal here is to not get her defenses up. So to say something like, I support you with whatever direction you decide to go. And again, I know that sounds really contrary to common sense, even, but it's because people really do talk themselves into staying. And then the other part of that is once they realize that you're very anti their partner and they become very defensive, now they're uncomfortable around you because now you know so much. And so maybe their partner too is like, you need to quit talking about our business. And so then now your friend is going to start pulling back and isolating herself and not wanting to talk to you about her relationship because she knows how it's sounding, like when she's telling you about all of the stuff that's going on. um it's just really, she gets how it sounds. And there's probably, if she's like most of us, there's probably a lot of embarrassment, there's probably a lot of guilt and a lot of shame that's going on there. And so and it's hard too, because when you're in a relationship like this, when you get to the place where you realize that things are bad and you need to go, when most people are in some sort of abusive relationship, it's the same. They've been experiencing generally the same kind of stuff for years and years and years. And so when they finally come to terms with the fact that they need to leave, it's also coming to terms with the fact that it's the same behavior they've been dealing with for a long time. So if they were to leave now, then maybe they should have left years ago. And so there's just a lot of mixed emotions that go along with this. But most people, because there's so much manipulation involved and false hope and false promises of change and all of these things, it takes a person multiple times trying to leave before they actually leave for good, especially if they've made this abusive person their whole world, because they might not have a lot of friends or even a job or a plan or money, or leaving isn't just as easy as leaving. So you told her to please watch my channel. Yeah, that's, those kinds of things is about all you can do. And my guess is, when the next time he does something, that she probably will. And I think if she starts watching the videos, and I think one of the benefits to my channel is I share a lot of my personal experience, which a person doesn't have to go to a support group to get that, right? So they can come to my channel and they can start hearing details of my stories, which the whole intention with me sharing that is so that people could see, they just realize that they're not alone, and that they could see, okay, this is what this other woman went through, and odds are they're going to see some of the same similar elements, and then a light's going to go on for them. So yes, Tanqueray Jones says, I'm in a support group on narcissistic abuse on Facebook. Yes, and there's lots of them out there. And it's, very validating just hearing from other people. And I talk about this a lot. The first time I came across a support group, it was, it was just the most amazing feeling. I could have cried just based off of that feeling. I didn't know what I'd experienced, and it was just so incredibly overwhelming to not be different and to realize that I wasn't crazy. There's so much just validation and healing that comes from that, because it's so hard when you're out there alone trying to figure all of this out, and you're in that fog of cognitive dissonance, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I really love this person, and he or she says that they're sorry, but I'm not sure that they're sorry. And especially if they're being blamed for being the problem, like a lot of abusive people will, they'll say like, oh well, you're being abusive or you're being manipulative, and they'll turn it around. And so that's crazy making. And it just helps to have other people that are at different stages of healing and understanding that can help guide them through that cognitive dissonance. So I keep getting this weird error message. Dropped frames detected. Your stream quality may be affected. Sorry, guys. I hope this doesn't happen again. Oh, technology. Okay, so there's a great question here. Elle asks, but how can we trust people again if the first thing we do now is judge them and start a relationship with thinking, just not letting ourselves fall in love? Okay, great question. So let's talk about that a little bit. Oh gosh, there's so much I want to say about this. It's Trust is something that's earned. It's not just something that's blindly given. And I think a lot of us, for a wide variety of reasons, have gotten into these relationships because we trust other people way too easily. We trust them before their trust has actually been earned. And so it takes time. It takes time. And here's the thing. So with problematic people, they tend to move really fast, and it tends to be this whole whirlwind. So it might feel like you really know them because you've spent 7 hours a day on the phone with them, but the reality is you don't know them. It takes months and months to actually truly know a person. So you just have to move slow especially when you're starting to date, especially if you're meeting people online, because lots and lots and lots of people, especially nowadays, are not what they seem, especially on online dating sites. So you just have to go slowly and make sure that you're thinking, that you're using your head at first, and that you're erring on the side of caution, that you're not letting yourself get caught up with this whole whirlwind. And that just takes time to really see who a person is. And there's love, and then there's infatuation. And so love is based on honesty and openness and sincerity and a respect and dignity. It's based on these things that take time. It's not just this warm fuzzy feeling that happens in the movies, that happens from across the room. That's lust, that's infatuation, but it needs time. It needs time, and it needs just kind of this maturation process where you get to see a person and see how they really do treat you. Because anybody and everybody really is on their best behavior the first 30 days or so that they're dating a person. So it's really important as we're dating that we keep our eyes open, and that we're focused on being choosy, or yes, being choosy, and not on being chosen. So it's just a more mature way of going about dating, because it's really easy to get caught up, especially if we're feeling lonely, to think, oh, I really like that guy or that girl, and I really hope they like me too, and to kind of gloss over those red flags and think to ourselves, well, nobody's perfect, right? And the next thing we know, we're in this really dangerous or destructive relationship because we're glossing over these red flags. So, and again, like the whole trusting people part, a lot of this has to do with trusting our own judgment. And that comes in when we know ourselves, when we know our own vulnerabilities, right? So I've mentioned this before in other videos about the whole empty buckets thing. And so kind of knowing where your weak spots are. So for me in the past, my weak spots were feeling unloved and unimportant. And I was just, I just fell for that love bombing, hook, line, and sinker. That was what did it for me. And if it hadn't have been Jack or Steve, it would have been other people, because that I didn't know how to give myself that. I didn't know how to make myself feel loved and important. And so I was looking outside of myself for other people to make me feel that way. And so when they just showered me with attention and affection, I just ate that up because I was starved out for it. So knowing that that's one of my vulnerabilities, now I can work towards making that not a vulnerability, right? So I can do things where I feel, important and loved, and I can make time to spend time with friends, and I can volunteer, and I can do all of these things that makes me that fills up those buckets. So, because now here's the crazy thing. So then once these things quit becoming vulnerabilities, you see problematic behavior for what it is a lot sooner than you did before. And but it goes back to I mean really everything just goes back to knowing ourselves. So let's see. Let's see. I missed some of this conversation here. Yes, M. Fisher says we're way too willing to excuse bad behavior. We're gaslighting ourselves. Yeah. I came across a really great saying the other day that really upset me, but it was totally true. And it said that all deception starts with self deception. And I thought, yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. And it's just when that cognitive dissonance sets in and we just want to see what we want to see, and it's really really hard to think straight if a person is so great and there's so many things right about him, and we really want them to be what the person that we have in our mind, who we think they are, right? And it's hard to walk away from that fantasy sometimes, but it's important that we see people for who they are. So let me scroll up a little bit here. Yes, I like that. Hot Potato says, I always liked the saying, never make someone a priority to whom you are only an option. Yes. Yes. Elle says, my narcissist told me that exactly. Like everyone is faking and lying at the start. It's a game at the start. It's nothing serious. Well, and by and large, dating is really fake, right? I mean, people tend to, they look amazing. They put all this effort into their appearance. They are on their best behavior. The first 30 to 90 days of a relationship, there's that it's great, right? I mean, most relationships start off really great, and the sex is amazing, the connection is amazing, the conversation's amazing. We always feel like that this is it. This time it's different. And a lot of that's just kind of part of dating and bonding and the chemicals that are going on, and it's you know how we're wired. So kind of realizing the first 90 days, that's your crunch time. And it's really important that you're thinking clearly in those 90 days, and ideally wait to have sex. Wait as long as you possibly can to have sex, because when you start bringing sex into the equation, then you know it can create a false bond between people. It can you know create this false level of intimacy that's really not there. It can create false trust. It can create all kinds of things. And it's one more reason, especially if the intimacy is good, for people to think to themselves, well, but I don't want to give that up. And so then they're even more inclined to gloss over red flags and stuff. So let me scroll. Okay, John is talking about, he says, um, looks like, wait, hold on. I'm missing the first part of the conversation. He says, she tells me, he's dating a woman. She tells me that she's in love with me, but she lives with her ex. Well, I would not touch that with a 10-foot pole, like if I get to vote on that, because here's the thing, relationships are not over until they're over. And a person may think to themselves, oh, we're done. We're separated. We're done. No. Like if a person's still under, especially under the same roof as their ex, they need time. Like they are not in a place in order to date. Like they need to be out on their own. They need to be independent. They need at least a year to just heal and get their head on straight. That's assuming that she's even telling the truth and that she's on the level and that he's really her ex. A lot of people, especially online people, will say that, and it's not their ex. They're actually still married. So I, don't. I'd encourage you to not break your own heart. Go about this in kind of giving. Think about the advice that you would give, your son or your brother as far as this goes. And yeah, this girl might be really great, but that's got trouble written all over it. And if she's serious about you, if she's serious about dating, she'd move out because most people would not touch that with a 10-foot pole. Yeah, so just as a quick example, I mean, when well, okay, John is saying, should I tell the other guy? Wait, hold on. I need to see more of the story. I'm like getting bits and pieces of it here. Okay. He says she keeps coming back to be with me and then tells me she needs me and then dumps me after a month or so. Well, so you know th- that's game playing, and I guess you'll just have to kind of, she obviously doesn't really know what she wants, right? And that's a stressful way for you to live. Like if you're continually feeling like you're walking on eggshells with this relationship where you never know, like she's obviously not committed to working on the relationship. She keeps, it's one moment it's I'm in this, the next moment she's not. That's a stressful way to live, and that alone, like even if she was living on her own, for me, I think for a lot of people that would be deal breaker behavior because that's that whole yo-yo kind of thing, and that's not like, that's just stressful. And you need to be able to feel safe in a relationship and know that you guys can have conversations, you can disagree and still move forward, and that she's not, that a woman or a man or whoever is not going to be so wishy-washy and flighty like that. So that's problematic. Should you tell the other guy? I mean, that's totally up to you. It probably would be a very interesting conversation. And I'm sure this is probably not the first time he's dealt with this. I mean, if she's living with him, I can only imagine, what kind of nonsense he's feeding her when she just disappears for, hours on end. So he's probably very much also under that fog of cognitive dissonance where he's believing what he wants to believe. And you know, it might be worth a phone call and talking to him and realizing that he's probably not going to believe you. He's probably going to believe her. But it might give you more clarity because you might realize all of the stuff that she's been telling him. So our Kaler says, Chris Rock says, you're not dating that person, you're dating that person's representative. That is hilarious and very, very true. That's, yeah, like that's pretty much. Chris Rock also talks about platonic friends, which I think he is so right on in so many levels. And one of the things he says about platonic friends is that there's no such thing as platonic friends. For women, if we have men that are platonic friends, it's guys that are there like in case of emergency, break glass. They're kind of the guys, if we can't find anybody else, we're going to go partner up with our male friends. For men, if men have female friends, it's just girls they haven't slept with yet. I thought there's, a lot of truth to that. So I think that's good to remember when when we're dating people and they're given these nonsense stories about all of these people are just, they're just friends, or what have you. Like most people don't have, they're not out chatting with, they're not out making new friends that are attractive and that you don't know about. I mean, it's just squirrely behavior. John says, she always says that she's not worth it. And I'm so confused. Marissa says, well, John, then she's not. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, okay, so like that's another red flag because, you know, either she's fishing for compliments with that or she truly believes it. So kind of again, like either way you lose because then you're having to if she really means that and she has like no self-esteem and no self-worth, then you're going to be continually like propping her up and trying to make her okay with herself, which like do you want that? I mean, that's she's not dateable. Like she's really not dateable right now on so many different levels and she needs to get that stuff sorted out. And what a lot of people do, and I'm guilty of it too, is they get in a relationship because they're lonely or they need validation or they want validation and they're looking to this other person to make them feel loved and important, right? Or like make them feel worthy or to increase their self-esteem. But that is a really just precarious way to go about getting those needs met because what if the person breaks up with you, what if I mean it's just it's a very not stable, not healthy for sure way to get those needs met. And it's not fair to the other person, right? Like we all kind of do a lot better if we can bring our highest and best selves to dating. And then plus too, just the emotional roller coaster that it can send us on if we're trying to date and then the other, because dating is an emotional roller coaster a lot of times. So if they break up with this, that it can't be the end of our world, right? I mean, we need to have our own support system in place. We need to love ourselves enough to where we are able to have healthy boundaries and standards. It's really hard to have this kind of healthy boundaries and standards and have this attitude of abundance when we're feeling starved out, right? So if we're feeling starved out, then all of a sudden pretty much like everybody starts looking pretty good and we kind of think to ourselves, well, we could kind of make this work. I mean, this person's maybe like a 5 out of 10, and then we start deluding ourselves. We just start fooling ourselves and telling ourselves, well, but nobody's perfect, and who am I to judge, and all of these things. And while that is all very true, you really want somebody that has the kind of personality and character that you can grow with and that you enjoy being around, because this isn't just about having someone in your life, right? It's about having the right person in your life. And that person ideally is going to have a very growth oriented type mentality. So if you're in the right relationship, you look forward to seeing them, you feel empowered, you feel inspired, you feel energized. It's a you trust them, you feel safe that you can share things with them and that they're not gonna to bolt like this girl is, or there's just that level of, and again, like level of trust, level of intimacy, all of this stuff just takes time to develop. So Elle says it is proven that people have sex in the first 3 dates if they like each other. Everything else is just prolonging as planning, not following your desire. I don't know if that is proven. I think that is just really, I think, yeah, a lot of people tend to have sex within the first 3 dates, but that's like way crazy fast. Like, really, think about it, okay? Because if you're first time meeting somebody, you're going to go out for coffee, you know, or something like a brief date. The second date, maybe dinner, right? Or a, a picnic and a concert or something. Maybe not even that, like a dinner. And then, like, the third date, something that's a little bit longer. We don't know them. Like, we don't know them. And in this day and age with the internet and how crazy people are and how much they lie and how just safety from a personal safety standpoint, it's just a terrible idea, and I know people move really fast, and I know that I probably sound really old fashioned when it comes to stuff like this, but it just if it's meant to be, it'll be. And there is no reason to try to rush things. There's a kind of everything to lose and very little to gain by rushing things. I've never met anybody that's ever said, you know what, I'm really glad I just blindly rushed into that and moved really fast. Like, never, not once, you know? And yeah, there can be that amazing chemistry there, but again, like, kind of realizing that people are putting their best foot forward. And I think, and I hate to to kind of throw men under the bus, but you know, a lot of guys will say whatever they need to say in order to get laid. So kind of realize that. I mean, I was on a dating site the other day, and it was so funny. This gal had put up this guy's picture, and she'd created this whole fake profile, like outing him, and had said on there, you know, that this guy targets single moms. He'll pretend to be your best friend. As soon as you sleep with him, he's gone. And so that happens a lot. And so it's just, we don't know a person after 3 days and or 3 dates. So it's Lauren is saying it's quickly. It's She says, I think you're absolutely right. It's just crazy how quickly you think you do know somebody. I Hot Potato says, haha, that girl sounds awesome. Yeah. You know, we just don't know. So my mom called me, it was like the other day, and she was talking about online dating, and she says, Dana, I just saw this Dateline episode, and I just wanted you to know that, you know, when you go out and you are going on dates, it's really important that you call a friend and everything, because this one guy, of course this is like Dateline, so it's these, you know, extreme stories. This guy had gone on, he'd responded to, I don't know if it was a Craigslist ad or if it was some other online dating site ad, and was meeting this woman. He was going to pick her up at her house, and it turns out it wasn't a woman, it was a guy, and the guy killed him. And the only reason they caught him is he had told a friend ahead of time, hey, I'm going to go meet this chick, and here's the address, and here's where I'm going, and when I'm planning on being back. He said, like, haha, just in case. Well, guess what? So people are not who they pretend to be. I have another friend who keeps getting involved with all of these online dating scammers, and you know, she's getting a lot better at it, but she hadn't dated anybody online in like 10 years. And before, when she was meeting men online, they were legitimate, like they were who they claimed to be, and it wasn't a scary thing. And she'd had this long distance relationship with this guy in another state, in California, which is, you know, far from here. Had this relationship with this guy, and it was great, and it lasted several years, and then it kind of fizzled out. And now she's so blown away, because she's like, it has changed so much. And I agree. I mean, I met my ex-husband through an online dating site. I don't even remember what it was. It was like AOL or something. I don't remember. It was a while ago. And you know, I don't even think he had a picture up, and if he did, it was a tiny picture. But they're just, he was everything he claimed to be in his ad, and I was everything that I had claimed to be in my ad, and so there was nothing squirrely. We were very on the level, and you don't get that nowadays, and you just have to go slow. You really, really do. So, bit rate of 128. But I haven't changed anything since the last time I've done this. Oh, WTF. I think we're